one had joined the party, so the bad Muslims had to be rebuked. There was no room in Islam for a second leader or for peace.
Quran 8:47. Be not as those who came from their homes full of their own importance, trying to turn men away from
fighting in
Allah's cause. Allah is encircling them. Satan made their acts seem alluring to them, and said, No one can conquer you this day while I am near you. But when the two armies came in sight of each other, he turned on his heels and said, Lo, I am not with you. I see what you cannot. Verily I fear Allah, for Allah is severe in punishment.
Ishaq tells us,
Umair saw Satan at Badar. When the devil turned, a surah was handed down concerning him.
Then describing Allah, Umar says,
Ishaq, Satan made their deeds seem good to them, and said they would be victorious because he was their protector, but the devil deceived them.
And he continues to do so. Following the satanic interlude, Allah caused bad Muslims diseased. Their peaceful nature evidently irked the spirit of war.
Quran 8:49. The hypocrites,
bad Muslims,
and those in whose heart is a disease, said, The religion has deceived and misled them.
Bad Muslims could be good people, discerning people. They recognized that fundamental Islam was deceitful. They knew Islam, Muhammad, and Allah better than anyone. If this is God speaking, I move we elect a new one.
Verse 50. If you could have seen the infidels when the angels drew away their souls, striking their faces and smiting their backs, the angels said, Taste the penalty of the blazing fire. Verse 52. They,
the Meccans,
brought this upon themselves. Their case is like that of Pharaoh and those before them. They denied and rejected the revelations of Allah, and Allah destroyed them, punishing them for their crimes, for Allah is strict, severe in punishment.
And what bears saying, bears repeating.
Verse 54. This was the case with Pharaoh and those before them. They denied and rejected the revelations of their Lord, so we destroyed them.
This wasn't a second translation. It was just a senior moment. The war surah marches on with these lovely words.
Quran 8, verse 55. Verily, the worst of creatures, the vilest of beasts in the sight of Allah, are those who reject Him and will not believe. They are those with whom you make an agreement, but they break their covenant every time, and they keep not their duty.
To fight. The bad Muslims are being hammered again. Muhammad is miffed that they reneged on the pledge of Aqaba. Muslims agreed to protect the Prophet like they did their women, and to fight whomever he fought. They didn't figure on that including terrorism and piracy, so they bailed on him. As a consequence, the bad, peace-loving Muslims were labeled the
worst of creatures.
Enough, Mr. Nice Guy. It was time to go back on the warpath. These are some of the most chilling words ever uttered in the name of God.
Quran 8:57. If you gain mastery over them in battle, inflict such a defeat as would terrorize them, so that they would learn a lesson and be warned.
It's pretty hard to reconcile these words with the Islam is a peace-loving religion myth. This sounds like one of Al-Qaeda's speeches to me. The Surah presents the terrorist manifesto this way.
Ishaq, if you come upon them, deal with them so forcibly as to terrify those who would follow them, so that they may be warned. Make a severe example of them by terrorizing Allah's enemies.
Before anyone puts their trust in the peace process or supports a treaty with Islamic organizations or nations, they should consider Allah's admonition.
Quran 8:58. If you apprehend treachery from any group on the part of a people with whom you have a treaty, retaliate by breaking off relations with them, for Allah loves not the treacherous. The infidels should not think that they can bypass the law of the punishment of Allah. Surely they cannot get away.
A second translation reads,
The unbelieving infidels should not think that they can bypass Islam. Surely they cannot escape.
Now that Islam has our undivided attention, it's time for Allah to scare us to death.
Quran 8, verse 60. Prepare against them whatever arms and cavalry you can muster, that you may strike terror in the enemies of Allah, and others beside them not known to you.
This is a call for all good Muslims to amass their weapons of mass destruction. The noble Quran even adds,
tanks, planes, missiles, and artillery.
To the text, Allah is ordering Muslims to terrorize His enemy, their enemies, and enemies yet unknown. This is as purposeful as a Panzer tank, as unyielding as a kamikaze. It explains why Muslims are terrorists, and it foretells our future if we fail to expose this doctrine, if we fail to annihilate it before it annihilates us. This is a matter of life and death, so I want to give you the benefit of another translation.
Against them make ready your strength to the utmost of your power, including steeds of war, to strike terror into the enemies of Allah and your enemies, and others besides whom you may not know. Whatever you spend in Allah's cause will be repaid in full, and no wrong will be done to you.
For killing others. If you were ignorant of verses 57 through 60, you might be succored by the 61st.
Quran 8, verse 61. But if the enemy inclines toward peace, do you also incline to peace, and trust in Allah.
However,
should they intend to deceive or cheat you, verily Allah suffices. He strengthened you with His aid and with the believers.
The small print here is real important.
Should they intend to deceive or cheat,
is an open invitation to invoke Quran 8:57 to 60. It presupposes a hypothetical before anything occurs, and Muhammad knew it. Within days, he would claim that he feared the Jewish Quanuka. He broke the treaty he had formed with them, besieged them, exiled them, and stole their homes, property, and businesses. The first man to interpret this surah said,
Ishaq, if they ask you for peace on the basis of Islam or submission, make peace on that basis. Be of one mind by his religion.
The next two verses, which speak of cementing love in the midst of a killing spree, are incomprehensible. This odd segue brings us to one of Allah's most ominous lines.
Quran 8:65. O Prophet, urge the believers to fight. If there are 20 among you with determination, they will vanquish 200. If 100, they will slaughter 1,000 of the unbelieving infidels, for these are a people devoid of understanding.
This is the math of terror. On September 11th, 19 good Muslims followed Allah's instructions and murdered 3,000 innocent men, women, and children, fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. They snuffed out their lives because we are a people devoid of understanding. I know that the temptation is to read on, but please, before you do, ponder the implications of this surah. This is the spirit of Islam speaking directly to Muslims. It is why they are terrorists. The surah proclaims,
Ishaq, O Prophet, exhort the believers to fight. If there are 20 good fighters, they will defeat 200, for they are a senseless people. They do not fight with good intentions, nor for truth.
Such could be said for America. The U.S. State Department has managed to lose the peace because they are ignorant of the truth. Believing that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, we fight with less than ideal intentions. As a nation, we have partnered with the wrong people, and thereby created our next foe. We liberated China, and they slaughtered us in Korea. We supported Stalin, and it killed us in Vietnam. We funded the Mujahideen, and they became Al-Qaeda. We furnished biological weapons to Saddam Hussein, and Americans died to keep him from using them. Not to be outdone, we have formed alliances with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Syria against Israel, so that our friend might be victimized. Allah wasn't finished motivating his terrorists to attack.
Quran 8:66. Now Allah has lightened your task, for He knows that there is a weak spot in you.
Which is precisely what He is exploiting.
So if there are 100 of you with determination, they will vanquish 200, and if 1,000, they will kill 2,000 by the will of Allah, for Allah is with those who are determined.
It's true. Letters taken from the cars the suicide bombers of 9/11 left behind included prayers to Allah. The Muslims were singing Allahu Akbar as they slit the stewardesses' throats and pointed the planes at our buildings. This is the price we pay for our blindness, for seeing Islam as a religion rather than a terrorist dogma.